Okay, students, today we are going to study about a very interesting animal known as the Balanoglossus. The Balanoglossus belongs to phylum Hemichordata. It belongs to phylum Hemichordata because it bears the character of both chordates as well as non-chordates. It acts as a connecting link between the two. It is also known as the tongue worm or the acron worm. Acron worm, it's called acron worm, Acron, because it resembles the fruit of oak tree, which is known as the acron nut. The animal is approximately up to up to 2.5 meter long. A special species, a species known as the Balanoglossus gigas, is up to 2.5 to 3 meter long. Otherwise, the animal is as small as 7 centimeters. The body of the Balanoglossus is covered with the mucus and numerous cilia. The body is again divided into the proboscis, anteriormost proboscis, the collar, and the trunk region. The proboscis, which is the anteriormost part, has at its base the mouth. The proboscis and the collar are attached to each other through a stalk or the neck, and the collar's anterior part, known as the collarette, acts as a flap on the neck. So proboscis, which is also known as the protosome, the collar, which is known as the mesosome, and the trunk, the metasome. Proboscis has the mouth, the collar has the collar flaps, both has coelom. The coelom in the proboscis is known as the proboscis coelom, and the coelom in the collar is known as the collar coelom. Trunk region, which is the posterior most and the longest part of the animal, is divided into three parts. The branchiogenital region, the anterior most part is the branchiogenital region, middle part is known as the hepatic, and last part is the post-hepatic region. The anterior most part, which I said is the branchiogenital region, here I have written the branchial region and the genital region. They both together forms the branchiogenital region. It bears two longitudinal rows of small gill pores here. It bears two longitudinal rows of gill pores or the branchial aperture. The number of branchial apertures increases with the growth of the animal. On the lateral side of gill pores, or the gill aperture, branchial apertures, lies the thin flaps that contain gonads, and these are known as the genital wings. The hepatic region is the middle part of the trunk. It is the smaller than the branchiogenital region. Its dorsal region is marked with very small hepatic ceca. These are the hepatic ceca. This is the hepatic region. Last part, or the abdominal or the post-hepatic region, is the posterior most part of the trunk. It is long, cylindrical, and slightly tapers and ends in the anus. The animal is a marine animal, and it lives in the burrow in the seabed. The burrows are U-shaped and approximately 20 centimeter apart. It is a U-shaped burrow, which is the holes of the burrow are 20 centimeter apart, and the depth of the burrow is approximately 60 centimeters. This is for the species we are talking about, and not the gigas, which is the largest species. Most of the time, the animal lives in the burrow. The male and female of the species lives in separate burrow. The animal eats protozoa, diatoms, and other organic debris, as it is a filter feeder. Fertilization is external, and developmental stages consist of a larva known as the Tornaria larva. So student, today we are going to discuss the digestive system of Balanoglossus. The digestive system of Balanoglossus. The digestive system of Balanoglossus is complete with both mouth and the anus. The digestive system of the Balanoglossus consists of a ventral mouth having proboscis skeleton at its roof. This is the proboscis skeleton. The mouth leads into the small buccal tube or the buccal cavity, which is produced anteriorly into the buccal diverticulum. This is the buccal diverticulum or the stomochord. The stomochord or the buccal diverticulum is short, stiff, and hollow. Buccal cavity leads into the pharynx, which is divided into two parts. The upper dorsal part is perforated with the longitudinal slits, the gill slits. This part, the dorsal part, is the respiratory part. This is the dorsal branchial portion. The dorsal branchial portion is respiratory in function, concerned with the respiration, and the ventral part is digestive portion. It is used for the absorption and digestion of food. The pharynx leads into the small esophagus. It's a long animal. We cut short here the esophagus. So this is the esophagus. The dorsal respiratory portion of the pharynx continues in the esophagus for some distance, and this is known as the postbranchial canal. So the portion corresponding to the respiratory region in the esophagus is postbranchial canal. This is the esophagus. This is the esophagus. Now the esophagus leads into the intestine. The intestine is present in the trunk region of the animal, and it occupies the hepatic and post-hepatic region. In the hepatic region, suppose this is the hepatic region. In the hepatic region, dorsal wall of the region forms numerous circulations and forms the hepatic ceca, which are visible externally also. These are the hepatic ceca. The last portion of the intestine resides in the posthepatic region, and this is the posthepatic region. It is a single simple tube with numerous cilia inside it, and it opens out through an anus having the sphincter muscles. So this is the hepatic region. So the digestive system of the Balanoglossus consists of a single mouth having a proboscis skeleton at its roof, which leads into the buccal cavity, having an stomochord or the buccal diverticulum. The buccal cavity leads into the pharynx, which is divided into the dorsal respiratory part and the ventral digestive part. So the digestive system of the Balanoglossus consists of a mouth having a proboscis skeleton at its roof, which leads into the buccal cavity. This buccal cavity has an evagination anteriorly into the proboscis, known as the buccal diverticulum or the stomochord. The buccal cavity leads into the pharynx. This is the pharynx, having a dorsal respiratory surface and the ventral digestive portion. The pharynx leads into the esophagus, in which the portion related to the dorsal respiratory surface is known as the postbranchial canal. This is the postbranchial canal. The esophagus, okay, this is the esophagus. It leads into the intestine. It occupies the trunk region of the animal. In the hepatic region, the dorsal surface of the intestine produces numerous circulations known as the hepatic ceca. This is the hepatic ceca. This portion, the hepatic portion of the intestine, leads into the simple tube having numerous cilia, and this is the last part of the intestine in the posthepatic region, and it ends in the anus having the sphincter muscles. This is the anus. Okay, this is the anterior end of the balanoglossus. With a detailed view, you can see the mouth here, which leads into the small buccal cavity. This is the buccal cavity. The roof of the mouth has a proboscis skeleton, the proboscis skeleton here, and the buccal cavity invaginates the proboscis as the buccal diverticulum. This is the buccal diverticulum. Okay. The remaining part are not for here, but I can tell you that it also has a glomerulus at its anterior end and a heart vesicle. The mouth, which leads into the buccal cavity, then enters into the pharynx. This is the pharynx, having the ventral digestive part and the dorsal respiratory part having the gill slits. Okay, so how do the animal feed? This is the anterior part of the animal having a mouth. This is the mouth, which is ventral to the proboscis at the posterior end, and this is the pre-oral ciliary organ. This pre-oral ciliary organ checks the quality of water which the animal is taking inside. So here are the gills. These are the gill pores. The cilia of the gills beat continuously to form a water current, and the food along with the water directly enters into the mouth. Some of the food which is not directly entering into the mouth goes along with the mucus. Okay, this is the mucus cord. This is the mucus cord or the mucus strand. This mucus strand is produced by the various mucus secreting cells of the proboscis and dispersed by the cilia. So the mucus which is coming from the proboscis entangles the food particle, and these food particles are checked by the pre-oral ciliary organs. If the quality of food is okay, then the food enters into the mouth, or otherwise the collarate. This is the collarate region. The collarate region
helps in rejecting the food particles, and those rejected food particles are arrange themselves along the collar. These are the rejected food particles which are later on thrown away from the body. The food enters into the mouth, goes to the pharynx. The food enters into the mouth, goes to the buccal cavity, and then into the pharynx, and then it goes into the intestine through esophagus, and digestion takes place in the intestine. The remaining undigested food particle is thrown out as a casting, as castings, pile of casting at the posterior opening of the burrow through the anus. Today we are going to discuss the respiratory system of the balanoglossus. So as I told you earlier, the respiratory system of balanoglossus consists of numerous gill slits, which are visible externally as the gill pores. So you have to remember two terms, the gill slits and the gill pores. As I mentioned earlier, the pharynx of the balanoglossus is divided in two parts. Suppose this is the pharynx of the balanoglossus, which is divided into two parts, dorsal and ventral, by a ridge called the parabranchial ridge. It extends from the dorsolateral side and divides the pharynx incompletely into two parts. So dorsal part is respiratory. This is respiratory part, and ventral one is the digestive. This is parabranchial ridge. Now this is the pharynx, and outside it lies the body wall. This is the body wall. The dorsolateral side of the pharynx, this portion, the dorsolateral side, is perforated with numerous gills. So if we view the lateral side of the pharynx, this will look like this. Suppose this is the pharynx. This is the anterior side and this is the posterior side. This is the dorsal and this is ventral. The wall of the pharynx is perforated by numerous gill slits which are oval and dorsolateral in position. Okay, they are on both sides, left and right. In actual, these gill slits, which I said that they are oval, are not oval, but these are U-shaped. Actually, the dorsal pharyngeal wall innervates the gill slit from the dorsal side, like this. So if you see a bigger diagram, suppose this is the single gill slit. Each gill slit is perforated by the dorsal body wall, dorsal pharyngeal wall, like this. So it is basically the invagination of the dorsal pharyngeal wall inside the gill slit, thereby making a single gill slit into a U-shaped bar. Now the pharyngeal wall which invaginates into the gill slit is known as the tongue bar, and it has a skeleton. It has coelom also. In doing so, every gill slit become a U-shaped structure. So there is a series of U-shaped structure in the on the dorsolateral side of the gill bar. So there is a series of U-shaped structure on the dorsolateral wall of the pharynx. These look like this. So in this diagram, this is the tongue bar, and the space between the two adjacent gill slits is known as the gill septa. It also has a skeleton, and the two are connected. The skeleton says this is the skeleton of the tongue bar. This is the skeleton of gill septa. The both are connected by synapticula. Now what happens? We have a pharyngeal wall perforated with U-shaped gill slits. Now these gill slits do not directly communicate with the outside environment. These U-shaped gill slits do not communicate directly with the environment, but through a sac known as the gill sac. So suppose this is the pharyngeal wall and this is the body wall. This is the body wall. This region is pharynx. This is the pharynx. And here lies the gill slits. The U-shaped gill slits. In the body wall, there are pores known as the gill pores. There is a series of gill pores on the dorsolateral side on both sides. So there is a left series of gill pores and there is a right series of gill pores. These gill slits, one, two, or more than two, they are enclosed in a gill sac that opens out through the gill pore. So these are the gill sacs, and these are the gill pores. So how do the animal respire? The water coming in the organism through mouth goes through the pharynx to the gill slits, the U-shaped gill slits, the gill sac, gill pores, and to the outside. As the gill slits have vascularization, oxygenation takes place. So this is the simple respiratory system of the balanoglossus. Thank you.